Hello in there. We're back. Currently, we've seen Illusion capable of eliminating RagnaroK, but doing the opposite of that. He's down 0-1.
We've seen Illusion still be Illusion, though, and that is a good sign for all of us. I always love watching Chris play.
Oh, yeah.
It's really important that a lot of players bring their own unique styles to the tournament, and even when it might not be like universally agreed upon the best play style or the best strategy, it's just fun to see something different, and I can't wait to see what we will see on map number 2, which is going to be played on Overgrowth.
This map is perfect for what Illusion loves to do. It's tough for Zerg to get extra bases, easy for Terran to get 3, and then just to drill down the middle. There's a nice pretty path with like watchtowers. You get to watch the flanks. All things are good for a Terran if he can get going. Down in the bottom left-hand corner, the man who needs to get it going. From Root Gaming, it is Illusion. And in the opposing corner, something, 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 reference to Valhalla itself. It's RagnaroK.
How do you come up with this stuff, Sean?
Oh, as clever as something, 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 reference to Valhalla. You know, I don't know. Really, I'm talented to nearly make a reference. And what I do is I leave it open-ended. It's sort of like a rhetorical reference where you're not supposed to get it. It's just supposed to make them think.
Alrighty. Out of all the players before this game kicks off, as everything is very relatively standard so far in the opening stage of this game, out of all the players that you've seen so far, who made the best impression on you? Is there someone out there that you were like, I can see this person go not just very far, but perhaps even end up winning the entire damn thing?
You know, even though she got off to a bumpy start, Scarlet for sure. I think that her consistency in all matchups, her resilience when she just gets in these awful openings, I have been ceaselessly impressed with her last week.
Alrighty, I like it.
But Polt has the ability to just freaking win. I don't care how impressive or whether the build order is slightly favored or not. Polt just gets the damn wins, and the damn wins are what counts on the final day.
And what about Stardust? He's been making a real good run as well, relatively quietly, not really getting a whole lot of games just yet on the main stage, but Stardust playing well as always. He's also a very interesting player to keep an eye on, and he's one of my favorite guys. He's a real awesome dude, so I hope to see him do very well.
Yeah, I mean, I would love to see him do well, but we saw some just very high and low gameplay from him, where he played brilliantly against Dong Regu and then struggled tremendously versus Mini Razor. Nearly lost that series just with some questionable decisions. And I think that if Stardust maybe gets maybe has some heebie-jeebies stressing him out, something like that. Invading his thought process, but I mean, I think that he's certainly capable.
Alrighty, we see the Overlord make his way across the map for RagnaroK. He will see that this time it's not a command center first for Illusion, but it's actually going to be the Reaper opening for him, followed up by the Reactor, so everything is very standard so far. Couldn't really be any more standard. Now, of course, the follow-up could still be a little tricky, as there are many ways to go with it. It's going to be, he could still make 2 Reapers. It's unlikely after the Reactor, but some Terran players like to do it. But most of the time, they make 1-1-1 rather than 1+2.
The famous 1-1-1-1-1 build. A little of this, a little of that, but not too much of anything in particular. This is the formality of the matchup. You are going to let me shoot some at your Zerglings, and then we will both part our separate ways without any deaths. It's just a sort of standoff situation. If any drones get picked off, I would call this a success. If the Reaper dies, this is a dismal failure. Yep.
He might actually be able to get this one drone as he's not able to morph into anything.
But
still more. No, he gets Oh, snap. Who says we've seen it all today, Sean? We have
my
not.
God. Oh, Illusion. And nice. Meanwhile, down in the south side, Illusion has finished up his factory. I'm a little curious about why there is that 2-hex space next to that factory. Is he going to do something cheeky? Nope.
Wow, that is a really quick armory. That's even quicker.
Oh my God.
This almost gives me the feeling that he just wants to make like a bunch of Hellions and drive straight up and like just fight or something. What is he dropping right now in the main base? What is it? Actually not anything yet.
What's it?
Where is Illusion going to go with this? This is like the quickest factory.
Yeah.
Even for Hellbat builds, this is really quick.
Yeah, I mean, he went into the main, he saw the gas, he's reasonably confident it's going to be a big swing of Zerglings. It's unlikely that the Zerg would be going for Roaches, because why go Roaches if you have Speedlings? They're both going to accomplish roughly the same stuff in the early game. So I think Illusion is just going to bank on that and ta-da! Hellbat Marine push. I mean, this is This is as dirtily as you can get.
This is really silly though. I still don't really understand when he wants to move out. Now we see 2 engineering bays go down in the natural, so this is still definitely a macro oriented opening for Illusion. But he's just going to try to surprise his opponent with 4 Hellions really quick. There are 2 more Hellions on the way. And the Roach Warren that normally is dropped down around 6 minutes 15 seconds is actually halfway done right now. I mean, there won't be any Roaches yet. He might be able to get the hatchery with the DPS of the Hellbats. This is a really sick sort of crazy anti-timing for Illusion if this works.
This is so weird. I mean, the Roach Warren coming up is going to be a pretty significant consideration, but those 1-1 upgrades for Illusion are very, very good.
Here we go. Hellbats will have quite a bit of DPS, so this hatchery is actually going to take a lot of damage. What a bizarre little poke over here by Illusion, but I don't think you're able to stop this without Roaches.
I mean, the Marines are actually going to be excellent versus these tiny numbers of Roaches, and Illusion's going to go for it. He's still making Hellions. He's getting the Tech Lab add-on. He needs to get Stim. He's going to be able to do hardly anything until he gets 2-2. Ooh, picking off a nice Overlord. Supply blocking Zerg.
11 Roaches now, though. If I was Illusion, I would have just gone back. I don't think he's going to be able to fight this. There are so many Roaches on the way. He will get 2 Roaches immediately. He even gets the third one, but now the Zerglings will stream in. There are still a few Queens, and more Roaches are on the way. So eventually Illusion ends up losing everything, but he did cancel that hatchery. And look, he kept 2 Hellions behind. They're going to be able to perhaps snipe the drone as well. That would be so sick. Illusion!
Illusion! No! Well, quickly, become Hellbats. We are Hellbats.
And go Super Saiyan mode. No.
Now, Illusion in this position, keep in mind, he does not need to build an armory for 2-2 because he already has an armory. And 2 armories are just as good as 1 armory. Yeah, if you ever see that as a discount at a convenience store, just be like, no, I'll just take 1. No need for 2 for the price of 1. And Illusion, since he cannot do much for a long time, since he doesn't have medevacs, doesn't have many units, we would normally be like, oh no, there's going to be a little bit of a downside to this play. But he's going to have 2-2 at about 13 minutes. So this means that Illusion is going to be able to do a ridiculous 2-base timing. And you know what I think he's good at, Roddy?
Timings?
Timings on 2 bases, baby.
I want to make a 2-base reference, but I wasn't sure if that's where you want to go at it.
Yeah, man, it's very scary when a caster asks another caster a question.
Yeah, it shakes me up a little bit. Hasn't happened very often over the last few years. Mr. Bid always just politely agreed with me. He never questioned my authority. If he's watching, he'd be so mad at me. Either way, +2 is on the way for Illusion. As he's RagnaroK is going to see one of these engineering bays. Doesn't see the second one though. It would be really nice for Illusion if he's actually able to pick off this Overlord before it sees that second engineering bay.
Well, looks like the Overlord is already taking some heat. Down it goes in the main base. And what a weird position to be in. RagnaroK is doing the same stuffs of old, but I think he's going to be looking not for the Spire units to help him stay alive, but for a 4th macro hatch, which we don't see anywhere in sight.
Yeah, that he did that earlier. He definitely dropped it a little bit quicker in his previous series against Polt, but then again, those games were played out a little different. Polt opens up, needless to say, very different than Illusion has opened up. Illusion is moving out now. He doesn't really have any medevacs yet, so I don't really understand this either. Maybe just wants to push creep back and force the RagnaroK to spend some money on units instead of drones. 63 workers against 51. There's really not a whole lot of lava to work with. Illusion is going to fight with 2-2 against 1-1. You know, this game once again is shaping up pretty good for Illusion. If he had a 3rd base, this would be like amazing. Terran is so far ahead. Since he doesn't, it's like this kind of commitment that we don't really see very often, so we don't actually know what this means.
This is a maybe good strategy on 2-base, but not an amazing strategy. We don't know. We don't have any data. And given the fact that casters are not all that different from scientists, we don't want to make the claims until we have the cold hard evidence in our fingers. But here's something I do know. 2-2 not done for Illusion. Don't go before 2-2's done. Just go home. Go home.
Yeah, he doesn't have medivacs either. I think he's just trying to force RagnaroK to either come off creep.
Get out of there.
Or maybe pick up a few creep too much.
He needs 35 more seconds for 2-2 to be done. 13-minute 2-2 is brutalizingly good.
It's actually kind of good because now RagnaroK thinks he feels like a false sense of security. While there is 4 more drones in the production lab, he might even get a few more. But RagnaroK is really not in a position to drone up. He needs units, and RagnaroK will realize this right now. But this is actually a terrifying army from Illusion. 2-2 will be ready this time. It's 101 army supply against 76. I really feel that if Illusion spreads his units properly, he's going to be able to make this work.
Oh,
what is this 2-base madness we're seeing from Illusion here, and why does it look so intimidating?
I think there's no chance that RagnaroK can hold this off. There's going to be no way that those Banelings can work through all that. The Roaches are not going to have the DPS that they need. RagnaroK needs the miracle hits that Scarlet's famous for. Here comes the whole army. Reasonable splits thus far, and the Banelings, nope, not going to do it on the first round, but round 2 of Banelings coming in too.
It's still relatively close, and there are still a few Banelings in the mix. Illusion needs to spread up his units. They'll lose a lot of the Marines there, but there's still quite a few Marauders, and off creep it should be enough for Illusion. It's actually really close. Reinforcements are streaming in from both sides, but the Marauders are holding the ground for now, and now a few more Banelings roll in. What a close fight.
Gosh, I mean, it is just inches and inches away from falling apart at any point in time with those Baneling hits. Were as magnificent as they needed to be. Illusion continues to apply pressure. Uh-oh, SCV train coming in. Not so sure how I feel about that, but when you're 2-base all in, you may as well look like it.
Yeah, exactly. You may as well just use a few of your SCVs to soak up these Banelings, even though Banelings do very, very well against SCVs, but it doesn't matter, you know, you might as well. It's extra meat. If 1 or 2 Banelings can make the difference between a few Marines surviving, and those few Marines can make the difference between picking off Roaches or not. So it's safe to say it's becoming close to everything or nothing for Illusion. Currently down 0-1 in this series. He's 2-4 in group stage play, and he's playing pretty well. He's making this very exciting, very entertaining game. I really feel that Illusion by heart is a Protoss player, Sean.
Well, he certainly comes up with the clever builds to make it look like it. Banelings rolling in round 2 of the fight. Uh-oh, a lot of those Banelings got hit on that front Marauder, but the units are swelling forward, and it's looking like the macro of RagnaroK and his ability to manage these fights are really shining true. Medevac's up at the north side,
way too exposed. Those
yeah.
Medevacs were way too exposed over there. Mueller's working on them. Eventually, you know, Illusion is able to clean up the majority of the forces on the ground, but there's just barely any Marines left, so these few Middlers, even when there are not that many, are having the time of their life, and now RagnaroK will push his army back.
I mean, the Hellbats normally able to deal so much damage, but I almost wanted to see mines in that fight. It's GG RagnaroK gets the 2-0 sweep, helping him continue to climb up in his group. Illusion now 2-5.
Yeah, it's a funny series for us to cast. Perhaps not the type of strategies you're going to see in a GSL semi-final or in the final. It's fun to cast something different, and I like how Illusion is trying to find a window where perhaps he can really display what he's good at, and that's splitting units and just trying to keep the aggression on. And of course, you know, throwing something different on the table might catch your opponent off guard. But RagnaroK, I think you pointed out very well in the final fight, was really up to par with his injects, and he kept sending in units. There was never a moment where they were fighting and there were no reinforcements either on the way or on the production tab. He kept his injects up, and I think that's what has allowed him to stay alive barely. And of course, by staying alive against a 2-base Terran, it means that you're winning.
And I mean, I think it comes back to what you talked about in game 1. Right before the big push happened, a round of drones got started, and that's what made RagnaroK have such a bumpy ride to that final win. But second match, RagnaroK really began to trust his instincts and say, you know what, I'm pretty sure you're doing another all-in. I'm never going to stop making units, and he very much so deserves that win. So when we come back, we're going to continue with more main stage group play action. I believe the next match here is going to be Scarlet versus Hyun, so I'm rather excited to see
that should
who will get the win there. Because, I mean, that's really the big deciding match for second and third place.
Yeah, it's going to be a great series. I believe I'll be casting it together with Kat, so that's going to be a lot of fun. Stay tuned, guys. We're going to have to do a very small break, and after that, we'll be back. Sean, make a silly face.